let's go ahead and write the equation of a line in a slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. And if you recall, m is our slope, okay, and b is our y-intercept, okay? And our y-intercept is when x equals to 0. And our slope, we can define it as a few different ways. We can say, okay, the change in y over the change in x, and that is also y minus y over x minus x. And we also like to use the words rise over run. You've probably heard that before. Okay. So let's go ahead and find the slope first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down, the first thing I'm going to write down are the two things I need to write this y equals mx plus b line, m and then b. Okay, those are the two important parts, and then we'll find our slope. Now, when we find our slope, we pick 2 points. Okay, I'm going to pick 1 and 11. And maybe I'll pick, let's pick 3 and 19. The points don't have to be in chronological order by any means. It does help. Sometimes it's easier to see, but in this case, we don't have to do that. And what I do is I make a little table, okay? And then I go back to what the definition of, or the formula for finding the slope is. We do y minus y, x minus x. And that will give us our change in x and our change in y because we subtract those. So that's what I do is I just simply say, well, what is 1 minus 3? 1 minus 3 is -2. Okay, and then I do what is 11 minus 19? Well, 11 minus 19 is -8. Okay, and so what I have is my change in y and my change in x, and I just simply write it in the fraction. So -8 over -2, but I do want to simplify that. -8 over -2, or -8 divided by -2 is simply 4. So there is the slope. Okay. Now with our table, you may have been able to see that quicker. If you notice, when we do slope, we want to go up by units of 1. And you'll notice we do that. We go 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, and that is units of 1. So we can actually find the slope a little bit easier. We just find out what we add or subtract. And in this case, every single time we are adding 4. Every single time. Okay, so that's another way we can use that table to find the slope. Now, the one last thing we need to do is we do need to find the y-intercept to write this equation. So we can find the y-intercept. And the important part to remember is the y-intercept is when x equals to 0. But you'll notice on this table, there is no 0 on the table. So I'm going to add it. I'm going to put a 0 right here into that section. And I'm going to say, okay, we're going to have to go back a step. Okay, so if we go back a step, we have to understand what is happening in the process. As we work our way down the table, we add 4. We keep working down the table, we add 4 again. We keep working down the table, we add 4. So how do we back it up? If I need to go backwards, I don't add 4, I'm going to subtract 4. So what is 11 minus 4? To go backwards, 11 minus 4 is equal to 7. So this is what our y-intercept is, because x is equal to 0. So our y-intercept is simply 7. Now what we're going to do is we're going to write our equation of the line, and that is just simply saying y equals to, we insert our slope, which is 4. We put an x, and then we add the y-intercept, which is +7. Okay, now we can go ahead and check this, and I love to check things, you know how I am. So I'm going to go to Desmos. I'm going to make sure that I type in my equation that I was able to come up with, which is 4x plus 7. So I put y equals to 4x plus 7. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to a function. I'm going to do that. I'm going to say f of x equals to 4x plus 7, which is the same thing. And I'm going to add a table. And what I'm going to do is real quickly, I'm going to add some of these points. 1, 11. Let's put 1 and 11. And if we've done this correctly, those points should add up, or I'm sorry, align with our line equation. So 2, 15. So 2 and then over to 15. And notice what's happening. Those points are lining up, 3 and 19. and they all line up. And what that is doing is that is verifying that the equation of our line is correct because these points and those lines all line up perfectly with each other. All right, y'all, I hope that helps you out. Write an equation of a line and slope intercept from a table.